Hi, and welcome back to Family Secrets. This is Leslie Fatheree, and we are on Course 7 and Unit 4, and I'm here with my daughter, Hannah Merry. We're wrapping up the secret to beginning momhood. We want to share with you some thoughts on time away today. You have this new precious baby. They are pretty much your life right now because they take a lot of attention and a lot of time. And even if you've learned to accomplish things around baby now, there's just a benefit to having some time away. Why don't you lean into that a little bit? Give me some ideas and thoughts.
Well, here's the thing. You got to do what you got to do. You are a grown adult who needs grown adult time. So moms, especially new moms, find themselves very intellectually lacking a lot of times because we don't get to talk to adults.
Yeah.
We're stuck talking to this baby who does not understand words.
Mm-hmm.
And as fun as and as cute as they are, that's not sharpening us at all.
Right.
We're basically just learning how to say baby syllables when they are talking to us. So it is important to take time away, not just for the fact that you're tired of talking to a baby, but because you need that adult intellectual stimulation. You need to have an adult conversation. We are created to be the reasoning beings. God gave us brains and thoughts and ideas, and it is incredibly stifling and incredibly depressing if you cannot sharpen that with other people. So it's important to be around others. And it's important to take time for you and your spouse, too, because you don't want to just push yourself to the max and wake up one day and be like, what do we do? What happened? Where'd it go? So it's important. Time with other adults is important.
Yes, it is. And so whether you take time to go just out for a cup of coffee, or whether you take time to actually go on a date with your spouse, whether you take time, maybe you get to the point where baby is taking a bottle and you can have like almost a whole day, and that's awesome when you can just go do something that you enjoy around other adult beings. It's helpful. It's helpful for your mental state. It's helpful for your soul. Your soul needs time to enjoy things. And I know you enjoy baby. Baby is wonderful, but there's just something about being away long enough to experience some joy in other things. You're always going to want to go back home to baby, but it's really good for you to have that time and space. It's really good for you as a couple to have time and space together. My husband always says, he's not with us on this unit and on this course, but he always says that the kids are one day going to go away, but you and I are going to be together forever.
To be clear, he has told that to his children our entire lives. You're leaving. She's staying.
And so we spend time together. So always, even when the kids were little, we would find a way to have a date night. My mom would take the kids. His mom, every once in a while, would take the kids, depending on where we were living and how close we were to them. Sometimes we had my sister who would watch children, but there was always someone that we could find to leave the children, the babies, with for even a short amount of time, just so we could go to dinner or we could go to a movie and we could spend some time together. And that was nurturing our relationship, even in the middle of having a new one. And it's very important. You can't lose your coupleness in the middle of baby. You've got to keep your relationship tight. So
when we had our first, our son, there was one day where my husband came home from work. He was probably, 2 months. He was not very big. He was very little still. And maybe three, because we were doing a bottle at that point. And he was very, very little. He was still sleeping like all the time. And my husband came home from work and he was like, we're going out, because we were just, and we were at a point where we didn't have a lot of people who lived close to us. We didn't have a lot of people who we could just call and they would come watch baby. But my husband was like, forget it. We're just going out. And so we took, this is hilarious. We took our tiny little baby in his carrier with us to the fancy restaurant. And we set him in like one of those like things they'll bring out. I think they may have actually just repurposed one that like holds the trays in this restaurant, because it was not a kid restaurant, right? Yeah. And we set him next to us. He slept because he was very little, and we just had dinner. Yeah. So sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
That's true.
But yes, make the time.
Yes.
Like, even if it is something crazy like that, just make the time. Yeah. Normally, you're going to be able to find someone to watch the kid, but sometimes drastic times call for drastic measures, and you just need to go home and say, we're going out.
That makes me think of when Hannah was actually like 1 month old. It was our anniversary 1 month after she was born. And so I had a girlfriend who was insistent that we needed to go out. And so, but I couldn't leave Hannah because she was an every 3 hour eater, and there was no getting around it. She had to go with us at a month old. So we did. We took the baby. My friend helped us with the baby. We got to have dinner out. It was very special. Weird because everybody was with us, but that's just how it went. And you needed that time away from the house even. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to get out of the house because you start to feel claustrophobic, or that everything's, you're living in the same space constantly without any other view. It's bad. So need that time away. Yeah.
Similarly to that, we have also done the thing where like he was born, our oldest was born in December, right? And so February comes and it's Valentine's Day. Yep. And we didn't have dinner plans because we can't leave this tiny little baby with anybody. Right. And same season of life. So we're like, nobody's available to watch this kid. And so what did I do? I just decided we're going to have a family Valentine's Day, and I made fancy dinner, and with a 2-month-old. Let's just think about that. Okay. Fancy dinner. I set the table with like the nice things, and we had dinner. Yeah. We had Valentine's Day dinner, and we just did what we had to do to get the time. Yeah.
So you accomplished and had time. You did great. Yay! You got them both. It's also a benefit for baby when you are leaving baby with someone else. Baby needs to have an attachment to you. Moms are very, very important. And they are the key educator, the key security person. They are the ones that babies spend the majority of time with. Mom is very important. But they also need to experience time away from mom because they need to develop some independence. They need to develop some ability to be with other people. It expands them. It helps them to grow. And they need to know that it's setting a pattern for enjoyable times down the road. Yeah. So the more you leave them with people, the safe people, you live with grandma, you live with an aunt, you live with a best friend, and if you're just running out, leave them with dad. Dad needs to experience baby, and baby needs to experience daddy. Sometimes babies have to get used to daddies. That's important too. And so just you not being around baby constantly creates a space for them to grow and to learn other people and to be comfortable with other people. There's always going to be someone baby does not get along well with, and that's trying. We always had my husband's father was a very he was a
burly man.
A burly man. That's a good way to put that. He was a burly man. He had a burly voice. And so my children, and a big beard. And my children did not like him until they were like 2. I mean, it was a long time before they really were comfortable with grandpa. He held them when they were first born, and then that was about it, and then the voice thing would just throw them, and they didn't like him. And so they had to learn to stay with grandparents. They had to learn to stay, and they learned by us leaving them there. They had to spend some time. It maybe wasn't real long, but they had to spend some time away from me as mom, away from our family, in order to experience others and kind of grow in that.
Fun story. When Eden, our oldest, was 9 months, I was going to a mom's group at the time just to get out of the house, the time away, and they had a nursery. And so they would keep your kiddos while you went and had coffee and talked with a grown adult. And so I left him in the nursery, and for the very first time, he decided to try to cry to get to stay with mom. And I could tell that he was perfectly fine. I had fed him. I had changed him. He had been in the nursery before. I knew all the workers in the nursery, and I knew they were perfectly safe and fine. But he was trying to go with mom. He wanted to stay with mom. And as important as that connection is, I was not taking him with me to my adult conversation time.
Right.
And I looked at my 9-month-old in the face, and I said, Aiden, you are fine. We do not throw fits when mom leaves. And I walked away. He stopped crying immediately, and he never threw a fit again.
Wow.
So sometimes you just gotta have the backbone to say, listen.
Yeah, this is how it is.
This is how it is.
This is how it is.
And at 9 months old, he understood that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you just have to be willing to prioritize the time and then just tell the kid, this is what we're doing.
Right. Along that same lines, Brian and I have shared already, but we're going to, you have to know that children will definitely try things like that, to cry, to get you to stay. They will voice loudly how awful it is that you are leaving them. I want to reassure you that the moment you leave, it will stop.
Perfectly fine.
They'll be fine. They realize that you aren't going to stay there with them, and that objective is lost. And so therefore, they will stop crying.
Yes.
Many a babysitter we had, and the children would try crying and trying to get me to stay, and Brian would be dragging me out of the house, and I'd say, okay, you're fine, I'm going, I'll be back, and just reassured them that I was coming back. And if you went back and looked in the window 2 minutes after we closed the door, they were playing with the babysitter. They were fine. Babies are the same way when they're little even. They adjust. They'll be fine. Yeah. That babysitter will find something to do that gets them on the happy side again. Occasionally, you have someone who will cry the entire episode. But babysitters are mostly forgiving, and they'll try again, mostly. Yeah. I'm thinking of our second daughter. She... I left her with my sister and my mom, and she cried literally at them the entire time I was gone. And they just put the blanket over the carrier seat that she was sitting in and just left her alone because she would see their face. She would cry. It wasn't me, and she wanted me. And so she was a baby. She didn't know, but she wasn't hurting. It wasn't bad for her necessarily. She just wasn't comfortable with them yet. They had to keep her several times, and then she was fine. Yep. She loves them now. There's no hard feelings.
We had the same thing. Our youngest, she's just turned 1 last month, and so a couple times we left her with my husband's mom, who they have a very busy lifestyle, so we aren't around them all the time. Right. And she's perfectly capable. She's had 4 children. Yeah, I almost said 2. 4 children. 4 children, and perfectly capable of watching her. And I knew everything was going to be fine. She did not want her to hold her. Like, she would look at her and cry. Same thing. Look at her and cry. And we left her a couple times, and she was fine once we left. It took her a little while to calm down, but she was fine. Yeah.
So, really good for you to get away. Yeah. Really good for your kids to learn to experience other people. Your baby needs to get accustomed to others. And that will just make for benefits down the road. They will understand that it's fun to go to grandma's. It's fun to stay with cousins. It's fun to, be alone without mom and dad and get to do fun things that you don't get to do with mom and dad sometimes. So they're going to learn those lessons. And so there's a lot of benefit to making sure that you get time away, making sure baby gets time apart from you, and then come back together and enjoy each other once again. Yes. So we hope that you are learning a whole bunch of stuff that is helpful to you, and we hope that you're enjoying at the beginning of Momhood, and we're glad that we could share with you today. Thanks, and we hope to see you in the next course.